first and foremost, I want to thank Jane and all the other professors that nominated me for this award. It's a great honor, and congratulations to all the other recipients. It's a kind of humbling standing up here with them. They're really great students. So, to get started here, start telling you a little bit about me. I grew up downtown Colorado Springs, about 2 hours south of here, and always loved being outside. I was a rock climber, still enjoy rock climbing, and played a lot of volleyball. Every summer I go to San Diego with my brother and my dad. Love being outside. I'm also a musician. I've taught myself 9 different instruments and kind of try to bring music into just about everything I do in life. And of course, my new graduation present there, my new motorcycle, can't seem to get off of it. So why landscape architecture? Growing up in Colorado Springs, I loved being outside, and then once I got into high school, I took this AutoCAD course and ended up taking 4 years of AutoCAD, and for some strange reason fell in love with AutoCAD. And so I always thought I was going to be an engineer, and get to college and realize that engineering is a lot more physics. I don't really like physics. So my very intelligent advisor asked me if I like art, which I love art. And she asked, well, are you a problem solver? That's what I do. I solve problems. She goes, well, you'd probably like landscape architecture. Give it a try. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And sure enough, I love it. I really do see the world as a puzzle, and I'm always trying to solve that puzzle. And I really do think the solution is landscape architecture, really giving the world some meaning, some purpose, and of course, the beauty. So I've kind of outlined a couple of career goals for myself here. And really when I design, I really want my designs to be kind of out there, strange, unique, things people have never seen before, but not so strange that no one's going to go there. And I also like the idea of taking these spaces that are sometimes derelict and not used, and people have this negative connotation about them, and really turn them into this positive experience, really genuine, that people never really expected to be there. Finally, I want to create art. The rest of my life, whatever I'm doing, I want it to be art. Whether in my free time, it's doing sketches or paintings like these here, or whether it's sculpting in the terms of landscape architecture and creating art that way. I really think all my designs should be viewed as works of art. So I'll kind of go through my process here a little bit and then jump into 3 works that I've done and explain my process through them. So first off, I always research and analyze sites, find the culture in them, really what is connecting the site to other areas, what's it about. And then I always find form and meaning. That's one of my favorites. I love finding form and meaning behind these sites. And then jump in to define these forms, add some program to it. Along the way, I'm always kind of visualizing what's it like to be there, what's the experience here in this space. So my first project here is actually my capstone project, and it's Tejon Street down in downtown Colorado Springs. And really my goal is to restore the pride and the character of the area, and of course some revenue. Colorado Springs has seen some better days economically. So really just trying to generate that positive energy for the city and directing people back to the center. They're doing a lot of growth on the perimeter of the city, should be about the center. So I thought the best way to do that is adding a pedestrian mall. So for those who don't know, there's Colorado Springs. It's in the southwest corner there, and then the north end of downtown, there's my site. The north-south axis there, that's Tejon Street. So I started analyzing it and thinking, what's the best place for this pedestrian mall to be? I looked at the different stores that are there. Is it business? Is it retail? Is it corporate offices? Is it residential? What's the best area for this? Started looking at, well, it's a pedestrian mall, so I'm going to have to knock out a road. What's the best road to knock out with minimizing the circulation efforts around there? And then looked at green spaces around the location. And up to the north here is Acacia Park, one of the more popular parks. Down to the south here is the Pioneer Museum, which is a kind of cultural icon there for Colorado Springs. And I started looking at some precedents, the 16th Street Mall and Pearl Street, really successful pedestrian malls, and trying to figure out why they're successful, relating it back to Tejon Street. Turns out they're all on a grid, circulation-wise, and there's a main thoroughfare that's connecting right near. So along with that, there's a couple of green spaces nearby, both 16th Street and Pearl Street. This is really just kind of backing up my idea. This is the perfect place for this pedestrian mall to fit. I also did a study looking at What you're looking at here is the XY direction is the footprint to scale with all these other pedestrian malls, Old Town here in Fort Collins, Pearl Street, Boulder, Church Street Marketplace in Vermont, and then 16th Street Mall in Denver. And then the Z direction is how many visitors per capita per year that mall sees. And as you can see, the four others besides Salem Street have much more visitors per capita. And ironically, Salem Street's the only one that's not designed. So I thought that was pretty profound. I also sent out a survey on Facebook and asked people that live in Colorado Springs how many times they come down to Colorado Springs, or the downtown area. 57% say 0 to 3 times in 6 months. That's amazing. So I want to change that, of course. 79% said that they would much rather be down there if there's a public gathering area, something like this pedestrian mall. And what I really like to see is that 7% of people think that it should be this vehicular access to downtown, which is what it is now. Everybody else, well, 42% of them, think it should be a cultural icon. Really backing up really what I want to do here. So jumping into the actual design, I scheduled a party here and started thinking about 6, 7, 8 different ways of kind of to organize the site, to flow, where people should be, and started thinking about the program, what should be there, design cues, where can I pull forms from, the intent behind my design, what does it mean, why am I doing this? And I kind of came up with this idea that there's grids everywhere in Colorado Springs, the windows, the city, everything is gridded. So, as you may know, Colorado Springs is kind of a very static ideology down there, and it hasn't really changed in the last 35 years. Heard it from my parents, heard it from locals. It's always kind of been about the same. So I thought, what better way than to lay down this grid and shoot some giant sweeping curves through there, kind of representing these changing progressive ideas, and really pushing the what is normal down in Colorado Springs. So down there, you can see the first couple here are just purely form what I'm thinking, aesthetically pleasing to me. And then this bottom one, I'm starting to think, okay, what's going to be a plaza? What's going to be water? What's going to be vegetation? Start assigning these program elements to these forms. And I come up with this idea of this 360-degree stage in the middle here, so it can be viewed on all sides, no matter where you are. Kind of give the bands a challenge. And then this sweeping water feature through the north-south axis there, really interactive. People cross it with bridges. You can get down and get your feet wet in it. And then down on this eastern corner here, there'd be a children's playground, so parents can drop their kids off, go shopping, be perfectly fine. And then all around that would be this uplit glass mural. So very linear glass, frosted glass, sketched in by local artists. Murals kind of give that public art sense to it, kind of sculpture walk type feel. My next project is the Burkana Therapy Garden, and the kind of goals for this project was really to help the patients. Patients often feel like they're broken when they come into these major life crisis ailments, and I wanted to kind of heal them and rehabilitate them through the use of the environment and landscape. So I started off with this kind of model here and broke a couple blue crayons, kind of symbolizing the patients, put them in a circle with the green for nature, white for the healthcare and hospital system there. And I kind of took a blow dry to it. And I was thinking, this blow dryer, this is design. I'm melting these crayons with design and kind of unifying these different elements back into one kind of beautiful entity again. So now these patients are no longer broken through the use of design, nature, and the hospital all combined together. Through that, I took the negative space from those areas there and translated it straight into a plan. Took these pathways kind of broken, put a trellis that was nice and circular, and then kind of developed this poetic narrative to go along with it. When a patient arrives at Burkana, they go down to this courtyard here, and right in that middle, the water feature, they pick out a stone. This is their friend. This is their buddy. They're going to live with this stone until they're done with Burkana. And as they kind of go through the rehab on the roof here, and they gain their strength back, they'll finally graduate and be able to walk up this centerpiece, which is kind of the harder stuff for rehab, and be able to drop their stone back down into this fountain, kind of symbolizing their releasing their struggles, their past, everything they've been through in the last 6 months, a year, how long it's been they've been there. And also kind of helping them help heal other patients. They're dropping their stone, providing this outside support for other patients that are soon to come to their clinic. Kind of some graphics explaining that there, walking up to a fountain and dropping the stone, and what that fountain actually looks like. Finally, my last project here is my urban design project. And it started as a group project. The main goal of the group project was to revitalize the Five Points neighborhood, which you may know is not the best neighborhood. And then we kind of divvied it into sections and tried to really develop what those kind of personal areas look like. My goal was to provide Denver with an iconic entry to the downtown area, kind of set it, give it some weight, something like San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, or St. Louis's arches, give it this icon. The rest of the world can see what it is, and really restore nature in the heart of Denver. So we looked at the figure ground of Denver, and I see this gridded pattern with this sharp angle Broadway going straight through here. I'm like, I might be able to do something with that. And we started studying some other cities and looked at Paris. I loved the idea of this giant circle in the middle of Paris, the Arc de Triomphe, where everyone comes together. And it's just kind of beautiful the way that everything comes together there. So I kind of played with that idea, started playing with the circles and triangles, trying to fit them together. And at this point, again, it's all just purely form, nothing but aesthetics from it. Does this look good on paper? And then I start, okay, what's going to be a building? What's going to be streets? How wide are the streets going to be? Give it some dimensions. Start looking at the shadows of the building. How high are they going to be? Things like that. In the middle here, I decided I want some green space. I want to open this up a little bit. And then that's where I kind of started thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll stick some arches in there. That'll be big, powerful, iconic. Right going across Broadway there, main thoroughfare. And I really start developing that kind of centerpiece. And I love symmetry. I love geometry. I love curves. So trying to make all three of those work together in one kind of unifying piece. A little challenging, but it ends up working here. And I start thinking about, man, I want a lot of water. I want different levels. I want you to be able to walk up, walk down, kind of just traverse all over the place. And the entire time thinking about what it feels like in this space, drawing these little thumbnail sketches about making sure maybe this is too high, maybe this is too wide. What's it really feel like to be there? And I came up with this design here. This is how it fits in the context of downtown Denver. And it's surrounded by kind of high-rise luxury apartments, hotels, bringing some of that wealth towards the Five Points area there. And you can kind of tell those arches sweeping over Broadway, connecting it all the way down to Coutts Field. So this is the view from Broadway looking down with these big stainless steel structures, one of them being the pedestrian bridge that's crossing there, right over the light rail station that connects it. I did somehow manage to get that pedestrian bridge to ADA standards. Still not quite sure how I did that. And then this riverwalk that really kind of gives people the sense that they're out of the city. They're not busy. They can sit here and relax on the hill. They can go up to this botanic garden up here and walk around, see all the flowers, see the kind of experimental shrubs that someone might be planting there. And then finally, the view down into the corridor that connects to Coors Field, uplit with this giant LCD screen, much like Fremont Street in Las Vegas, kind of giving it that quasi-futuristic look, really iconic, really powerful, giving Denver that sense of its own character, kind of setting itself apart from the rest of the U.S. cities. Any other questions there?
I have a question on the last project, the structure that encircle this, I didn't understand what that was. Like,
This
yeah,
one here?
what are those?
So then these are high-rise buildings, shorter in the middle here, higher in the top, and they're mostly apartments, luxury hotels, kind of that kind of bigger end feel down there.
It sort of threw me because the dimension is not like.
Yeah, they're
real skinny.
Yeah, they are.
So I was just kind of
They're
thrown a little bit.
one room deep, so that they give you the feel on both sides. Of
Okay, I was wondering what you thought about.
Yeah, one room deep.
They're all tough on the 5 points.
It might be because we went down there for a field trip, and had kind of a rough experience.
I have a question.
I have a question. Where did the people who live in 5 Points go?
That was something we kind of struggled with, and
I bet they do too.
yeah, yeah. Luckily, in my area here, I didn't really have to worry about it too much because this was mostly parking lots. Earlier in the design, where a couple other people kind of focused in, we relocated them much into, we put in this kind of housing system / shops. So the bottom level would be kind of your street shops, and we put a marketplace in. And then up from the second level on, that's where the kind of higher density housing would be. So it looks, street level, it looks kind of, a little nicer, and then they can still have their lower income housing above it.
I have a question about your other, I'll go away from 5 Points for a second. Just the Tejon Street project. I like that project, I like the analysis you put into it. I just wanna, it's an open-ended question, answer it any way you want, but I just wondered what you thought about, you mentioned the conservative nature of the city, and how it was sort of static. So you've kind of introduced or imposed these sort of dynamic forms. And so what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like, are you like a physical determinist, like that's gonna sort of drive behavior and culture, or do you feel like it's just kind of a design concept that you came up with? Does it have the ability to sort of change?
I would like it to. I would like it to be a catalyst for other LAs or architects or whoever to come in, maybe artists come in and push for other things like this in the city. And, 50 years from now, maybe the city could be completely transformed just because of one design kind of started this catalyst for it. So I do kind of see it as this, kind of pushing against trying to make change happen type of thing.
But through form.
Through form, yeah. I mean, hopefully, people like us would be able to see it. Maybe the general public would be a little distorted, they wouldn't be able to get that feel, but I'm sure it could hold its own weight.
Can you talk a little bit about the edges of the drawing?
These here? I needed that.
The grid. What's happening at the edges of the design intervention?
Like these here?
The square white line.
Just the white areas. At the edges of your.
At the edges of
Oh,
the.
here? This is all buildings, actually. That's where the existing buildings come to the shops.
Can you talk about how they relate to the?
I buffered in a 10-foot sidewalk, which isn't showing up on this projector very well, but about a 10-foot sidewalk on all edges so that you didn't have to. If you're in a hurry, you can still get through this area quickly. But it still allows access to the shops. And then as at each one of these points, so this is the bridge going over, there's a door to a shop here, as well as right here. So kind of lining these curves up right at the doors is one of my goals there. And then that, there was kind of a 7-Eleven convenience store right here. Demolish that. That doesn't need to be there. So thought that kind of sculpture would be a little more fitting.
First, I really appreciate the presentation and also listening skills.
Thanks.
You had great eye contact, which I think is fantastic, and good voice. One of my questions is, you propose a lot of water, and you both with Zenon Street and then your 5 Points project, and these are both very arid environments. Do you have some sort of solution if you're not allowed to have water, say in these canals? Is this something, if you thought there would be, these are always going to have water in it?
I love water, so I try to get it in if I can. Of course, it is maybe it's not the most responsible thing to do, but I have put in these bioretention basins, hopefully collect some of the runoff, and then develop a way to pipe it through into this system. If absolutely no water is allowed, maybe we can do something more sculptural with maybe some river rocks flowing through there, and play with that idea a little bit. But I would enjoy it for that too.
Because I can see that, and it's wonderful, you have a really good command of form and space, and I loved your crayon diagram, that was brilliant, that's really fun. And I can see you're really jazzed by form. How would you propose to marry that with a real program that somebody said, you needed to start the other direction?
So have
So
a
in
program
other words,
first and then
yes.
get a form from that?
Is that, have you had to do that?
I have. Didn't put it in here for a reason. I didn't like it as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
No, and that would be a challenge. I could still do it, but to me, it's not as free as. But in terms of actually approaching that, I guess I would look at what's surrounding it, pull some of those forms from there, and just get that program in there. That'd be the first kind of command what I do, and then maybe play with forms around it, shape around it, or try to integrate if I can.
That's right on question, because I appreciated that you showed us your thinking process as you move through the project, but the program was back on at the bottom. And what you'll find when you're working is you actually have plans, you have needs, and that's really where you begin.
Right.
You begin with some set of constraints, and you come to learn the constraints of inspiration. And you don't have to just simply, okay, I've got 2 weeks, I'm going to do a project. What's it going to be? Because those are the things that you discover along the way in program and context and history and what you think are the problems that are actually the solutions. That's what it really is.
See, I would even have fun with that. That comes back to me being that problem solver. It's like a giant math problem. Like, how did this puzzle fit together?
It might inform your curve over here that says now that space is what's contained in what we're doing here or something else, instead of having to figure out what to do with all of it and make a beautiful graphic. Anyway, which was very nice, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, thanks.